Hey everyone, Ultima456 here with a type of State of Gaming wrap-up video and a little bit of a channel update as well. I haven't done this kind of State of Gaming wrap-up. I think I definitely did one like E3 wrap-up like many years ago, but I thought I'd do one for the stuff that happened recently, like the not E3 stuff that happened recently, and yeah, just a little bit of a channel update. Nothing too different from what I said last time, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. First off, man, what a year and years that we have coming. Everything was just so exciting. There's so many new games coming out. A lot of the stuff was already like rumored, but it's insane to have it like confirmed, and we got some trailers, and it's just wow, there's so much coming. I've mentioned him several times before, but I really enjoy watching Maximilian dude when it comes to this stuff. He's an intelligent guy, and I really like his reactions. He's very enthusiastic about the stuff that he really enjoys, and it's infectious. It makes me more invested in stuff that I'm already invested in, and even stuff that I'm not invested in. It gets me to be invested in it. So I guess like the first thing I'll talk about, it's not something really for me, but like the new Street Fighter 6, it looks really good. It's not, I mean, I don't really play fighting games, but it looks like Capcom have done like a fantastic job with Street Fighter 6. They've got a whole like visual art style to it. It looks different enough than the previous games, especially with that art style. They've got this like Shenmue-esque creator character mode where you run around and fight like people on the street. It actually reminds me of, I just thought about this, I think is it Mortal Kombat Deception? I can't remember which one. It's like where you play as, his name's Shinji? I can't quite remember, but there was like a Mortal Kombat game, I think on PS2, where you had like, you played as like this character, I think his name was Shinji, and then you age through it. So you start as like a sort of like a young boy, or like a young man, like, I don't know, 17, 18 years old, and then you grow into your like 30s and so on and so forth until you, like, I think by the end of it, you're an old man. It's really, I actually just remembered it. It's kind of cool. Obviously it won't be exactly like that, but yeah, that was really cool. It looks like they're putting like a lot of new mechanics into the game and really fleshing it out. And I think it's going to be good for like beginners and stuff to get into. Am I going to play it? No, but I thought I'd mention it because, it's a major release, so it's big. And staying with Capcom, we finally, after all this time, we finally have an announcement for the Resident Evil 8 DLC, which was like, I think it's been like a year coming. It's insane how far out they announced it, and then like when it actually finally was shown. And the RE remake, RE4 remake, I should say, is finally confirmed. That one, I mean, everyone knew that was going to happen. I think I can't remember if it was a leak or rumor, or they purposely leaked it and rumored it or whatever, if that's the way of saying that. But yeah, that looks really good too. So the R8 DLC, it seems like there's 3 parts to it. So they've added third-person mode to the original story. There's new characters for the Mercenaries mode, and most importantly, Rosa's story. This is a huge, well, it's like, I actually thought that they were going to leave that for Resident Evil 9, because it's like, I think at the end of Resident Evil 8, spoilers for that, by the way, it's like the father's story is now over. So I thought that they were going to put that into Resident Evil 9, but no, they're going to throw it into the DLC, and we're going to play as Rose. I was meant to check this earlier, so if I get this wrong, I will, I guess I'll just add a note. But I think at the end, like, the consensus was that the ending of Resident Evil 8 didn't take place too many years after the epilogue of Resident Evil 8 didn't take place too many years after the ending of Resident Evil 8, and because of the like rapid aging thing. But I think the trailer said something that like it's been 16 years. So maybe we were wrong about that. I'm not 100% sure. I have to check that, but I think maybe we were wrong about that. I'll most certainly be playing the DLC when it comes out. I hope there's trophies. I think there will be. I actually think, like, right now, unless they announce more stuff, I think Resident Evil 7's DLC was probably better, because they had 4 different things, and all of them were really unique and really fun. But we'll see. Playing in third-person mode might be interesting. There might be a different like way of playing it. I don't know what kind of trophies they could do. Hopefully they don't just go like play it in third person mode, beat mercenaries with each of the new characters, and finish Rose's story. There are your trophies. Hopefully it's not like that bland, but I don't know. We'll find out. And then finally we got a brief showing for Resident Evil 4 Remake. It looks like they're going for a darker, more atmospheric tone, which is, I think, what that game needs. Because for me, if you saw my playthrough at the very end, I thought Resident Evil 4 was kind of like just okay. I did like the game for the most part, and I actually remember like speedrunning it was really fun. Doing the speedrun was like awesome. But yeah, I think that it could still benefit from like a darker tone and seeing just more of it in a different way, I think. But it was, it's not a bad game. It's definitely not the worst Resident Evil by any stretch, but it's like, I don't know, it just wasn't, it didn't hit me as much as it seemed to hit a lot of other people. And maybe it would have if I had played it like at the time. It's one of those things where it's like, if you play it really late, then it might not hit the same way. So yeah, all right. And now we come to Square Enix, who, I don't know what they're doing over there. How many people are working at Square Enix? Like, it's insane, because we have Kingdom Hearts 4, which was shown off earlier this year, I don't know, a few months ago or something like that. We had like a little teaser trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4. Final Fantasy 16 is coming out, I think, next year. Forspoken is out later this year. That one's less of a thing, but it's a new IP, and I presume they're putting like a lot of effort into it as well. So like that's still like it's a game, you know what I mean? Like it's developing a game, so that's huge. And then finally, this amazing plethora of games coming out for the Final Fantasy compilation. Like, what is happening? That doesn't make any sense. So let's count it. So we've got Kingdom Hearts 4, Final Fantasy 16, Forspoken, and then all the Final Fantasy games in the compilation. That's 3 major titles, and then the 4th one is like 6 games in one. It's just insane how much they're putting out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, a few years ago, one of the like heads of Square Enix or someone high up came out and said that they take too long to make games. So I'm pretty sure that's right. And so now they're kind of like saying, well, we do take too long to make games, but when we make games, we make like 17 of them and release them all around like within a 2 to 3 year mark. So I don't know, it's insane. Anyway, so let's talk about that. So we have Ever Crisis, which is I think I'm missing something, but it's like it's a remake of the original Final Fantasy VII in kind of the same, like basically the same, not sprites, but like tiny character models, which is, I think, largely what there was a huge amount of people that actually wanted that. They wanted to be able to play Final Fantasy VII, the original, in a more updated way, because when you do look at like the original game, and I've played it on my channel, so when you look at the original game, it's like, yeah, this is like really, really dated, and the characters look, they're just polygons, just tiny little polygons. They did the best they could with the technology they had at the time, but it just doesn't translate well after 20 years. Like you're like, okay, I want something better. And these new ones look like they're going to be just fine. It looks okay. I think it's only a mobile game, if I'm not mistaken, so that's a little off-putting, but I don't know, to be honest, it might be actually like the one mobile game that I'm like, okay, I'll pay for this, it's all right, I'll play it on my phone, like I don't mind. It looks like they changed the battle system a little bit, or actually a lot, because it's not the like like that, right? So it looks like they changed the battle system a lot. It looks like it's been brought into the modern age, all that kind of stuff, so that's cool. Then we had an announcement for Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion, and this is a Crisis Core remake, which a lot of people wanted as well, and it looks pretty good. It seems like they're staying like really faithful to everything that they've done with Crisis Core, because the dialogue is exactly the same. The kind of like jarring nature of that game where I don't know, it just feels, I'm basically going to repeat what Max said, but he says like, Zack is a really great character and he feels like a human and everyone else feels like a robot in that game. But it's Crisis Core, and Crisis Core is one of those games where like when I think about Crisis Core, I'm like, oh, I miss that game. That game was so good. And then you go back and play it, and it's like, this is exactly the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And it's okay. But yeah, I don't know. On a second, or like when I think I saw Max play it, or I saw someone play it, and I was like, oh wow, this is yeah, this isn't as good as I remembered it. But I think it's still going to be worth playing. The graphics look like very updated. Like when you see the side by side, you're like, okay, that's a massive difference. So I think I'll buy it. And some people were saying, and I think this is 100% true. I think the end of Crisis Core is going to have some kind of like little teaser for that's going to link towards remake and remake part 2. I was probably especially remake part 2. It just makes sense to me because like the whole idea of the Final Fantasy compilation is that they want to bring everything together. It's kind of like Square does this all the time anyway. Like they did this with Kingdom Hearts 3 where they literally said, all right, I think it was like Kingdom Hearts 3 was so long after Kingdom Hearts 2, and there were so many like alternate title games all in between that when they got to Kingdom Hearts 3, they're like, okay, we have to find a way to please everyone and just shove everything into this game. Even if like that character has like 10 lines of dialogue, we have to put them in the game. And that's, I think, what they'll do. I honestly think they're going to combine the stuff from the compilation so that it ends up in all linking towards each other. I don't think they said anything. Yeah, they definitely didn't say anything about a Dirge of Cerberus remake, but it was in the intro of the Final Fantasy compilation. They did say Dirge of Cerberus, and Dirge of Cerberus is not a good game. I saw Max play it, and I was like, it is not a good game at all. It's so terrible, and it repeats itself a million times, and it's not great. But I don't know. It's weird because a lot of companies, when they remake games, they want to stay faithful to the original game. So it's kind of hard to see Square going, okay, we're going to remake Dirge of Cerberus and it's actually going to be good. I think if they were going to do that, they would have announced it here. So it seems like, Dirge is probably not getting a remake. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And then finally, we got what I have been waiting for so long, because I knew that when the first like remake part 1 came out, I was like, we're going to be waiting a long time until we get a trailer for this. I actually thought it would have come a little bit sooner. Like I thought it would have come maybe 6 months ago, but no, we had to wait all the way until June of 2022, a full 2 years and 2 months after the first game came out for a trailer, which even when I look at it like that, it's like, it's a long time. Like 2 years and 2 months is a long time, but in the scheme of like how games are made, it's not too bad. But yeah, we finally got a trailer, and oh my god, it looks so good. It just looks so good. I can't wait to play it. People were pointing out the fact that like how the beginning of the game is going to work, and I think what we saw, without going too much into spoiler territory, I don't really want to talk too much about it because I haven't even done it on the channel yet, but like what we saw in that trailer with Cloud and Sephiroth, that's the beginning of the game, 100%. People think you're going to be playing as Sephiroth. I'm not so sure. I think it makes sense. Just obviously just for the beginning of that game, especially because a lot of people wanted to play as Sephiroth in the original, and there was all like this talk about whether it was possible or not. But I think it actually makes sense to play as Sephiroth, but I don't know. I still think you might be playing as Cloud. And then people at the top were speculating, it's like, look how far away it is. It's 1,000 meters away. This game is going to be gigantic, especially when you consider like how the story is, what they're doing with the remake, what seems to be now confirmed by the developers is like what's actually happening with the remake. Again, not going too much into spoiler territory, but then also where they might end the second part. I'm beyond excited. It's gonna be good. It is really, really gonna be good. I'm so happy for this. I'm so happy for Square. They're working really hard with all these games, and are they gonna hit everything? I don't know. I think Forspoken might be the one that does the least well, but then again, it could be good. 16, Final Fantasy 16 looks awesome. It looks like, what did I think? I think 16 to me, I said it looked like a combination of Neo and Devil May Cry. Yeah, that's what it was. Neo and Devil May Cry. And I'm like, oh, wow, what two amazing games to put together, Neo and Devil May Cry. So 16 actually looks really good. I wasn't really like convinced when I saw the first trailer. I was like, okay, it looks like an action game, like whatever. But then I saw the UI and I was like, okay, this is looking better. So yeah, I think eventually, I don't know, hopefully I'll have time, but yeah, 16, I think I will play. I don't know if I'll play it on the channel, but I will play it for myself, definitely, at least. What else? So I think. Oh yeah, one thing I will say. So the original, oh sorry, Final Fantasy VII remake was called Remake. The second part is called Rebirth. So, and now they've also confirmed that there will be 3 parts. So presumably the last game will be called Re something. The one guess that I will throw in, I'm not going to provide any reason, any evidence as to why I think this is. I have like a few loose threads in my head that I'm like, okay, like maybe this, but I'm just going to go for it. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I was watching Max's stream and looking at all the different names. My favorite was Recycle. I love that one because it's actually like a possibility, like as in a thematic sense, it would make sense, but obviously it. And coming out next year, Final Fantasy VII Recycle. What? It sounds terrible. But I think my guess is going to be Return. That's my guess. I'm sticking to it. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I think it's going to be Return. It's not going to be Reborn because this second one's called Rebirth. It could be, what was another one that I saw? Could be like Revitalized. That's not a bad one. I also think I'm getting this from basically nothing, but it's the word has to be kind of like a compound word. Like RE is not really a word by itself. But make is a word by itself, and then RE again for rebirth, not a word, but then birth is a word. So I think whatever the word is, it has to be, I guess not a compound word, but it has to be a word. So it has to be like, I'm trying to think, okay, like cycle is a word, vitalize, that actually might not technically be, no, I think it is a word, vitalize, just vitalize by itself. But yeah, turn is a word, it has multiple meanings. Whatever it is, they always have to do multiple meanings. Rebirth, now I'm just thinking about it. Birth. Well, there might be 2 of the same reasons. I don't know. I'm getting too much into it, but yeah, I'm excited. It looks really cool. And apparently, there was an interview with the original developer, or like the story. Is it Katase? If it's not Katase, I'm sorry. I'll put the correct name. I hope I'm right about that. The original ending of Final Fantasy VII apparently was said in an interview many years ago that it was a bad ending, and that means that we should get a good ending, presumably, with when the compilation or when the remakes finish. So, yeah, I don't know. We also saw, well, actually, we didn't see this, I think, on like it definitely wasn't in the Summer Games Fest and in the following days and all that kind of stuff. But there was a trailer, I don't know if it was a new trailer or if it was a combination, but for Black Myth Wukong, which I haven't forgotten about. It looks like it's getting further in development. It looks really good. To me, it's looking actually like a mix of Sekiro and Elden Ring because it looks quite open world. There's a lot of different areas to explore in that game. It seems to have more Sekiro-esque combat system than the Souls games. Like it's way more Sekiro based. I think like there's a parry system and the timing is very important. So yeah, I think it looks cool. I just hope, to be honest, and this is just for me personally, I hope it's not as big as Elden Ring. Elden Ring is huge. It's so big. There's just so many areas to go, and I just hope they restrain themselves a little, and it's only, like I said, it's only mainly due to the nature of like how I play games these days, but it's just my personal feelings. I hope it's a little bit smaller than, like if it was the size of Sekiro, I think I'd be very happy. Even if it was a little bit bigger than Sekiro, like the size of Sekiro versus the size of Elden Ring, like there's a massive gap. As long as it's somewhere in between that and probably closer to Sekiro than Elden Ring, then I'll be good with that. We also saw Dead Space, Callisto Protocol, and the other 17 space horror games that are coming out. I have no idea what that was so weird. Like the Summer Games Fest was like every single game had space horror, just over and over and over again. I was like, what's going on here? The one, I didn't write this down, but I did remember it just now. The one like sort of indie game that I like the look of, I probably won't play it, but it looked interesting, was the American Arcadia, the one that's kind of like a Truman Show almost kind of thing. I thought that was pretty cool. So all the rest I was like, okay, meh, whatever. But the American Arcadia one was really cool. We got the announcement of Last of Us Part 1. which is the kind of like the remake remaster for, what is it? It's somewhere between a remake and a remaster, because they already did a remaster, but it's not really a remake because they're still using like all the original assets. They're just kind of like changing them up. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually got like a little bit emotional when they announced that, because like they were showing the music in that game, like the guitar strings and everything, just like, it's so memorable and so nostalgic, and you just hear it and doom, 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 and just sets you off. So I'm pretty. I will be getting that again, and I will be playing it for myself at least. I know people have asked me to play The Last of Us Part 1. I guess like now's as good as time as any to play it, but it still won't be for a while because I've got other things that I want to finish. So if I do play The Last of Us Part 1, it will be a few years later. I don't know, we'll see. We haven't really heard anything else on God of War, which is interesting. I was suspecting that we were going to hear just a little bit more, like maybe a confirmed release date. People were saying like, I think like a change from September, now it's like guaranteed to be November, but then there was another news story that was saying it might not come out this year, it might come out next year. So I don't know, it doesn't really matter. It's like we're getting really, really close. So yeah, it's that one I'm looking forward to. And I have a lot of like thoughts about like how, I don't know if I mentioned it, I don't think I did. I'm going to say right now, a little bit of spoilers for the original game. I think the beginning of God of War Ragnarok will see you face Thor. And again, like I said, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I think you're going to fight Thor at the very beginning, and he's going to beat you, and he's going to take your powers. And then you're going to have to gain your powers back throughout the rest of the game. Just like all the other God of Wars, like the original God of Wars, where you lose your power at the beginning of the game. So like you play God of War 1, you get powerful, you finish God of War 1. In God of War 2, your powers get taken away by, is it Zeus? I can't remember. Like, I can't remember exactly, but like your powers get taken away, you start again, you do it again, and it happens in God of War 3. So obviously with the nature of like how games work, you can't just go, you can't just play God of War 2018, and then let's say God of War, we'll call it God of War Ragnarok, but you can't play God of War 2018, go straight to God of War Ragnarok and go, okay, you can continue with everything that you took from the original God of War. Like you need to have, it needs to be its own self-contained thing. And then within the context of the story, I think that's what's going to happen, because it only makes sense, right? Like Kratos, he doesn't really lose in the first game, right? He doesn't really lose at all. Like he keeps trudging forward. He does have a tough battle at the beginning of the game, but he doesn't lose. He doesn't die, and I don't think he's going to die. Although now they're saying that this is the end of this. No, he's not going to die. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's my theory. I think that you're going to fight Thor at the beginning, you'll fight Thor at the end, and there's going to be a whole bunch of twists and turns all throughout. I really hope they nail it this time, because that makes it sound like the first game was terrible. No. The first game was amazing, but there were just like a few minor little things that could have been changed. I don't know how, but could have been changed and made better to make it like basically perfect. But yeah, I just hope that they keep going, and it's as good as it seems like it's going to be. All right, so I guess like, why did I make this video? In all honesty, I just wanted to make like a video so that you guys could have like a chance to put in the comments like what you're most excited for, and yeah, like what's got you really excited, basically. I think in terms of one other thing I could ask is like, what is a remake that hasn't happened yet, or a remaster that hasn't happened yet that you want? Like, what is it that you're waiting for? For me, there's only one that I want, and it's Tales of Symphonia. I want a Tales of Symphonia remake so bad. I think we're about 2 years away from the original coming out. I think the original came out around 2004, 2005. So we're about 2 years away from the 20-year anniversary. And I mean, what makes better sense to come out with a remake around that time? It seems to me like that would be the best time. So fingers crossed we hear an announcement at some point, because it would be really, really cool to get that. It's my favorite one. So I haven't played the other Tales games, but it really, that one for some reason just stuck with me. It's awesome. And on top of that, considering the success of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I do not doubt that we will see an eventual 8 and 9 remake as well. I'm pretty sure the 9 remake has been speculated and rumored a little bit over the past like almost a year. I think that it was just like white text on a black background or black text on a white background about Final Fantasy 9 remake. But I just think that it doesn't, or it makes the most sense to me that like if you look at the original polygonal version of Cloud in Final Fantasy VII, the original, and then you look at what he looks like today with that high res model in the 7 remakes. I think it just makes sense that when you do the same thing for someone like Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, and then you imagine like a high res model, he looks too much like a game anime protagonist for it to not exist in the future of our current timeline, if that makes sense. I just, in my head, I see Squall as a high res image. I see Quistis or Keistis, however her name is pronounced, Renoa, the guy that does the backflips, I forget his name, but yeah, like I see and what do you call a way to immortalize Robin Williams as well, like the president of the principal of Balam Garden. Yeah, they could do that. Holy crap, that would be awesome. Come on, Zelda, you'd be up for that, right? Let's immortalize Robin Williams in Final Fantasy VIII remake. Let's do that. Holy crap, yeah, let's do that. That would be so cool. Yeah, so I would be excited for those as well. I assume at some point I'll go back to 8 and 9 and play them. I mean, I did that for Final Fantasy 7 and it was very much worth it. I really love the game. I really love the story and the characters. I think honestly the characters make that game 7 remake. I think it's why it's so beloved, and I think it honestly deserves all the praise and accolades that it gets, especially considering like how they're going about the remake. So they really did a fantastic job. And of course, on top of that, I would absolutely love to see a 10 remake, Final Fantasy 10 remake, because that is my personal favorite. So yeah, I see that potentially happening too, because I think that came out in like 2001. So it's been long enough that we can have a remake of that one. But I don't see that happening for a little while. All right, so just to quickly give you like a mini update, honestly, there's not much that I'm really going to say that was different from last time, but I'll quickly just do it anyway. I'm still doing Elden Ring. It's going to be going for quite a while. I actually I recorded a recent episode where I talked about how I think now 150 episodes, now that I've done, actually up to this point, I'm about to record episode 70 next. Now that I've done that many episodes, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking 150 is actually really generous. I'm actually thinking it's going to be closer to 200. I wish it wasn't that much, but I feel like it's gonna be that much. But you know, I'm doing as much as I possibly can. I actually recorded a 40-minute episode yesterday and a 1-hour episode yesterday. So there's gonna be more like, and again, like I'm leaving a big enough gap so that like 20-minute episodes are still going to be the norm, but every so often I'll have to do like a larger episode because we've got to get through this. Like it's just going to take so long otherwise. I also wanted to mention, I can't remember exactly how many, but I know I took like a few weeks off between the ending of Ultra Despair Girls and the beginning of Elden Ring. I think it was about 18 or 19 days because I think it was like 2.5 weeks. And if you consider that like some of the episodes that I've done are an hour long, like it's almost like every time I do an hour-long episode, or in this case I did like a 40-minute for an episode that's coming up, an hour-long episode basically equals like 3 days worth of episodes. So I've almost caught up on all those days that I've missed out if I was to have done everything with 20-minute episodes. So I'm bridging the gap, which is nice. I look at it that way and I'm like, all right, cool. I took all that time off, but I'm kind of like getting it back by doing these extra episodes and maintaining like effectively like an episode a day. So that's cool. After I finish Elden Ring, I'm probably going to do, because I still had a few titles left that I wanted to finish. They were Final Fantasy VII Remake, Nioh 2, Danganronpa V3, and Shadow of the Colossus. Am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing. Give me one sec. No, I'm not missing one. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Those are the ones I wanted to do. I will probably do Shadow of the Colossus because I think I checked on like howlongtobeat.com and it's like only 25 hours for like a completionist, I think. And that is, that's really what I need. Like after I finish like an Elden Ring, it's just insane how big that game is going to be to finish. But yeah, I think I'll probably do Shadow of the Colossus. Depending on like what happens, I don't know. My running theory is that Elden Ring will finish sometime around like September, October, or November, and then Shadow of the Colossus will be done after that. I think God of War might be out by then, but I don't think I'm gonna just like jump into God of War straight away. Shadow of the Colossus after that, and then honestly, I'll probably have to go into Danganronpa V3 because it'll be the beginning of 2023, and I actually wanted to finish it sort of before then, but because of Ultra Despair Girls, I had to use that like in the well, it was at the beginning of this year, so yeah. So I'll finally finish off the Danganronpa series at the beginning of next year, which is good. And then after that, I'm not sure. In terms of Tales of Symphonia: Dawn of the New World, I know I didn't talk about it last time, but I'm still my kind of the thing that I want to do, because I'm quite a few episodes ahead in Elden Ring, but every time I kind of get the urge to go, okay, now I can quickly like take some time and do Tales of Symphonia: Dawn of the New World, or at least start making it. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to do like all of it in one day. But every time I do that, I just go, but then I'm going to fall behind on Elden Ring. And I need to be concentrating on Elden Ring, especially like little story elements that I can throw in, which I haven't been getting like probably 100% accurate. I make mini mistakes here and there. So I'm sorry about that. It's so, I mean, you guys are a very forgiving bunch, and it's like it's hard when the game is that big and that massive to remember everything. I mean, like that's why I like Vardy's videos. He plays the game, he gets all the information, he makes like, what is it, a mind map. He makes a mind map and then like looks at all that information and then pieces it together. That's the way to do it, but I'm just trying like with basing it off memory, so it is hard. But yeah, I think the best bet for me to do Dawn of the New World is to do it as a long May We Plat, so that it will be an hour-long episode each episode. I will release it at the very minimum 1 per week, but I'll try and do like maybe 2 per week. So that, and it'll be kind of like alongside whatever else is going on at the time. If I can do it alongside Danganronpa V3, fantastic. If not, I'll wait a little bit longer and do it towards the middle or the end of Danganronpa V3, and then whatever comes up after that. And yeah, so that will be like how I have to do it. I've also been thinking about I don't want to say this because it's like people are going to be like, no, don't waste your time on that. Do something like Neo 2 or Final Fantasy 7 Remake. But it's just kind of like, it's that part of me that like, I probably, if I do this, maybe it won't be for a while, but I really wanted to make redo Tales of Symphonia, the original. And I know that sounds crazy because it was 233 episodes and each of them were like 35 minutes long, or a lot of them were 35 minutes long. So it would take like a really long time. But my thing to make it different, here are the reasons why I wanted to do it. The graphics in that looked terrible. The audio was really bad in a lot of episodes. And I love the game. And there was like, there's an element called the hard path, which I actually didn't do. And I wanted to try and correct that. The hard path was just kind of like a point towards the early part of the game where there were actually 2 ways that you could go, and it wasn't super obvious if you were playing the game for the first time, but when you play the game again, you're like, oh, you know what, I could do it like this and like this and like this, and it kind of changes things a little bit. Not much, but it would have been nice to show that off. The way I thought about doing it, and I'll be completely honest, is I actually thought about doing the PC version because the graphics look really, really good. I think it would be easier to record. The only downside is that the PC version doesn't have like it won't have like a platinum, but it doesn't also have like 100% achievement as well. It has all the same achievements as far as I can tell, everything exactly the same as the PS3 trophy list, but it doesn't have like the platinum. But I don't think it really matters. Like I could still call it Long May We Plat, and I could just say right at the beginning, it's like, okay, this is a PS3 title that does have a platinum, but for the sake of like good graphics and good audio and all that kind of stuff, even though technically I should have done good audio the first time, for the sake of all that, I'm playing it on the PC, and it's gonna have everything exactly the same. We're just not gonna get the platinum at the end. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, look, that's something that like I'm mentioning it. It's probably not going to happen. If it does happen, it won't be for ages. Maybe like it won't happen for 2 years, and then I'm about to do it, and then they'll announce the Tales of Symphonia remake, and then I'll do that one. So I don't know. Anyway, that's pretty much it. 35 minutes. That's pretty good. So that's pretty much it. I don't even know why I made this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it anyway. I'm like super excited for the future of PS5. We've been like starved lately. in terms of new games. And it's not like we don't have games to play. Like there's plenty of games to play, but it's just I'm excited for like new IPs and stuff. Like Returnal, for example. I still have Returnal somewhere. I think it's in my cupboard. It's a good game. I played it for a good chunk. The only downside with Returnal is, if I'm remembering this correctly, you finish the game once, you get an ending. You finish the game again, you get another ending. When you try and go for the third ending, the game's difficulty just ramps up ridiculously high, and it's so difficult to get past this one particular section, and I just couldn't finish it. So I don't even think I've seen like the third ending for Returnal. I would like to play it again, or I would like to get back into it and play it, but I don't know, I just don't really have time, I make time for like different things. Balance is so important, and I can't just be playing games after games after games all the whole time. It's hard. But yeah, other than that, I think I'm going to leave it here. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Regardless if this video was entertaining in any way or like relevant in any way. I guess it's definitely relevant. It's just like part of me is like, when I was before I made this, I was like, do I need to make this? I don't know. I don't need to make it, but I thought I'd make it. I haven't made one like a wrap-up video in a long time. So anyway, at the very least, it does give you guys an opportunity to talk about stuff that you're excited for in the comments. So yeah, you can do that. All right, so if you did like the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I do have a Patreon if you want to support me in any like minor way. It all helps, you know, but absolutely don't have to. If you do like my content, just keep watching, keep clicking. Any sort of support that you give me is really, really, really appreciated. I'm doing my best. I'm trying really hard, and I want to do more and do things better in the future. And yeah, it's hard to figure out exactly how to do that, but it's all about self-betterment. It's all about just getting better and consistently trying hard and grinding, just grinding and grinding and grinding. So that's what I'm trying to do. But anyway, I'll leave things there. I want to thank you for watching this not E3 State of Gaming wrap-up video with a channel update, with a minor channel update at the end. My name's Ultima456, you're the Ultimates, and I'll see you next time.